This is a little how-to video and information about the custom-built system in the Tab 320. What we have at the heart of the system is a lithium-ion 200 amp hour battery that can also charge and discharge at 200 amps as needed. The unit is protected by a 300 amp fuse and a 30 amp charge fuse coming in and out of the battery. You have a master switch which turns off the power to the whole camper, except it leaves the blue solar controller on. That way the battery can always be maintained and the voltage is stabilized with the solar controller. And the power goes across and down into a block, power distribution block, down in there. Kind of like see, there it is, made by Blue Sea. Each one of those blocks have a fuse, and these are the fuses and the values of them, what they're for. The blue solar charge controller is from the roof, controlled by this fuse block coming straight from the panel off the roof into this. That must be at least 5 volts above the battery voltage to start. Once it starts, the blue light will be solid. If the blue light's blinking, there's not enough solar to make it turn on. It has to be at least about 18 volts. 5 volts above the battery. Once it starts, it will keep charging. The other form of charging is from the vehicle. You can hook up 12 volts straight to the battery with proper fusing and a good heavy line. You can charge from the alternator on your car, but it must be not over 30 amps. You can control this from 20 to 50 amps. If you have a separate alternator, you can run it directly. So that's the DC to DC charger. It is also a solar charger, which picks up power from the solar fuse, which be plugged in outdoors for an extra set of panels to move around and follow the sun with. So this is temporary, on and off, as needed. Can charge from the truck as needed. The other way to charge the battery is the factory system here, which is 35 amps of charging, and it's set up for lithium ion. There's a switch to go between lead acid and lithium. Right now it is set for lithium. Then to get it charged faster on the campground, when you're low, you have a secondary 35 amp charger. So this system here is controlled by this switch right here. When that switch is on, that turns on the extra charger, which allows both chargers then to put in about 70 amps of current into the 12 volt lithium battery. Down below here you see a 200 watt converter that will give you 120 volts to the system. So with the battery on, that is the smoke alarm, not smoke alarm, but the gas detector. And when you turn the battery on, you'll notice it does blink. Takes a little while for it to stabilize, and then I'm going to have to push the button to reset it and let it stabilize. Now that the battery's on, you'll see there's voltage here. Each one of these switches are for different events. That will run the refrigerator. This is called the radar. That actually turns on the rear camera to the trailer. The stereo, which is just the amplifier radio up above. The TV. VHS is for the TV power. And the fan switch. I added all of those so the system would be low current when camping in boondocking mode. You'll want to save power so you can turn off each device you may not need on. Now that we got it on, the radio system works like this. So you have a satellite receiver, and it has to be on auxiliary input. You have zone A, which is inside. Zone B, there's speaker connectors outside on the side of the camper. If you want to listen to the TV, leave it on auxiliary input. Turn off the Sirius XM. That powers off. Then the audio will come out of the TV. No other buttons to push. Just power on the TV, turn the volume up, and the sound will come out of here with auxiliary input selected. You use AM, FM, auxiliary Bluetooth, and auxiliary in. And you turn your Sirius FM back on system. As it boots up, it automatically switches the input to the radio. You get to turn it all off. Turn off the TV if you want. Turn off the radio if you want. The refrigerator. And the rear camera. I still have the fan turned on. To demo that. It has a remote control, or it can be controlled just right here. Power on. It automatically opens. And closes. Or if you want to change the speeds, you can use the remote control to also set your temperature. So at night, the reason I set that switch on, is say you want the fan on to cool down, but it starts getting too cold, but you want to leave the vent on. So what I do at nighttime, when it gets cold, is turn off that. That leaves the vent open, so you still have ventilation so moisture can get out. And it won't rain in because that is a full covered vent. And you can manually also close it if you want. Alright, that pretty much covers the operation of the camera. Now, to run off a battery, roadside you want to cook. Turn on the inverter. It takes about a couple of minutes here. I'm going to pause it. Once it comes on, there it just came on. You heard the click. The relay is clicking here. It goes click. And then you'll see you have your voltage AC on. Once you have your AC voltage on, that wakes up the microwave. So the microwave's ready to work. That wakes up the AC unit, which again, don't run the AC over like 15-20 minutes. It's just there to cool the camper down if you're really hot in the middle of nowhere. You have to recharge your battery because it pulls 120 amps, and it's capable of 190 amps on the battery, so you don't want to run it too long because you'll run the battery down pretty fast. That is that for the AC operation. So you end up with the microwave, all the plugs are alive, and everything's operational, charging. I'll turn off the battery, the inverter. The Aldi system runs off of 12 volts. Or power from the wall, or gas. So if you're trying to run the Aldi in the campsite with no plug-in, you want to run it on gas. If you're at a campsite, you have two levels: low heat power and high heat power. Do not try to run the Aldi with the inverter system from the battery. Just use it on gas, or if you're plugged in, use it on electricity. So I got the electricity off. You can turn the gas off too. You can turn the whole system off here. A little bit more on the Aldi. As it's on, hit the menu, barely touch the screen. It's a pretty sensitive screen. You have the gas on. Be sure the gas is on outside. Test the gas operation by lighting the cook stove to make sure you have the gas. Push the control button for settings. Go down to service mode. This will tell you how the system's working. The fan rotation is the exhaust fan for the air to heat the hot air out of the system. The glycol temperatures will go up to 145 degrees. That creates heat in the camper. You can see there's more information now about temperatures, about voltage of the battery. It's also made to hook up to different systems. So the way the Aldi system works, it takes the hot water and it takes glycol. Glycol is okay for the wintertime, all the time. Wintertime it makes the heat. It pumps it through these rubber hoses and comes out through fins.